Hey, good morning, everybody. Sunday was Father's Day. I hope you had a good, fun day. Got to do something fun. Got to um, celebrate with your family. Do some fun things that you really enjoy. Life really is about celebrating those wins. We talk a lot about mindset around here, and we talk a lot about controlling that in certain ways, and certain ways that will help benefit you in your life. But I want to talk today about something that I think we all intuitively understand. We know something about this, but I think it really helps when we truly understand what's going on at the biologic level, at the physiologic level, and it's a human thing. It's not something that I have and you don't. It's just a part of who we are. And what want to talk about today is that gut feeling. We've all heard that expression. Well, I just had a gut feeling about this or that. And most of the time, when we ignore that gut feeling, we end up regretting it. Other people might call that intuition. I just had a feeling, or there was just, there's lots of different ways to describe this, but it's a real thing. We need to understand that this is how our body works. This is the connection between our body and our mind. And I think when we have a better understanding of that, we're better able to live life to the fullest. That be the thing, do the thing that we were put here to do. And I truly believe, if you've been listening to me very long, that that we all have our God-given talents. And I don't care what you call it, universe, source, whatever. We all have things that we're naturally good at, and things, that takes us a while to understand, or maybe we never understand. And so this is one of the things that I think is one of my talents, is I have felt this, I have noticed this, and I've actually taken action on it. And so, for example, I knew back years and years ago, I graduated with a bachelor's degree in agribusiness, and I knew I wanted to stay in Montana, and so I got a really good job. Had a great job, good pay, and I was doing well. But I just, after doing that 6-7 years, I just knew, I had this gut feeling, this intuition that I should be doing something different. That there was more that I was capable of, and I was put here to do more. And I had that feeling. I knew that I needed to address it. But it's really hard when you're caught up doing something, you're making good money, things are going along just great, you're taking care of your family, and you got a few nice things, and you're happy with what you're doing. It's really hard to pay attention to that inner voice, that gut feeling, and make any changes based upon that. It's really hard, and that's why most people don't do it, because it's really easy to push down. And just ignore it. But that something's going on. I know every one of you have had this gut feeling that, hey, maybe I'm capable of more, or maybe I should be doing something different, or this just doesn't feel right. And that's a real thing. You shouldn't ignore that, because that's a really important thing to understand. So what this is a real biological thing. It's when you have that gut feeling that you should do something different, or you're not reaching your full capability, it's your body saying that, hey, something's out of alignment. Okay, that's all that message means, is there's something you need to pay attention to. And it's different for everybody, but it's like this internal conflict between your beliefs and your actions. And we've talked about before, we all have these beliefs. Some of them are good, and some of them aren't so good. And I've used the analogy of Santa Claus. When you're a little kid, we believe in Santa Claus. And that belief serves us. It serves us well, because when we wake up on Christmas Day, there's all these gifts and things that we wanted, and everybody's happy, and there's celebration, there's good food. And so that belief serves you. Does it mean that belief is correct? We really need to understand that. Beliefs don't have to be correct. They just, the question is, do they serve you or are they not serving you? So some of these beliefs come from your gut feeling. And when things are out of alignment, that's when you actually feel it. There's something, there's an actual science behind this. It's something called the gut-brain axis. And all that means is there's a superhighway running from your brain to your gut, literally to your gut. And your gut can be your stomach, your small and large intestine, your digestive tract, okay? Is termed gut. It's not just your stomach, okay? And that superhighway is actually something called the vagus nerve. It's one of the cranial nerves, one of the big nerves that controls lots of things. And the vagus nerve is arguably the biggest, most important nerve in the body. We learned a lot about that in dentistry because there's branches of the vagus nerve that go to your teeth and your jaw. So we learned a lot about that. But that's that superhighway. And so the thing that people don't understand is we think our brain controls everything, all of our actions, all of our feelings, all of our intuition. But actually 90% of the messages actually go from your gut to your brain, not from your brain to your gut. That's what most people think. It's like we think a thought, our brain processes that, and then it sends signals to our body, when in reality, most of the messages are going the other way. There's actually a separate nervous system in your gut. It's the fancy term for it is called your enteric nervous system. So it really is your second brain, and some people would even argue that's your first brain. And that's where these gut feelings come from. I mean, even 90% of the feel-good hormones like serotonin, 90% of that is influenced by your microbiome, right? There's a lot of talk these days about probiotics, prebiotics, the microbiome, the bacteria that are in your gut, and making sure that they're balanced, and all of the issues around, things in our food like glyphosate and Roundup and forever chemicals, how they're affecting our gut, which that really is something that we need to pay attention to. But the bigger thing is all of these messages from our extremities, from our skin, from our muscles, all of those messages are going from our gut to our brain, or at least 90% of them, and they are interpreted as our intuition. So when things don't feel right, they feel out of alignment, you have a gut feeling about something, you really do need to pay attention to that. Because like I said, I could have easily been really happy with my first job out of school, and I could have done that forever and retired from that, but I had a gut feeling that I was capable of so much more, and I paid attention to that. And that's what spurred me on to going to dental school. And I look back on the different career paths I could have taken, and to be able to affect so many people's lives in a positive way through dentistry and all of the other things that taught me, it was the right thing to do. And it was the right thing to do, not because I was so smart, because most people, when I told them I was going to quit that really good paying job and I had 2 little girls, most people said, "You're freaking out of your mind," including some people in my family, right? They're out of your mind. You're out of your mind. I hope you can get your job back, because I don't know if you're smart enough to get through dental school, to even get and it's still the same way today, but to even apply and to get an interview with professional schools like that is really difficult to do. And here I'm, getting close to 30 years old. Most of these kids are, in their early 20s. So there's some stiff competition, but it was absolutely the right thing to do. And then, if any of you know my story, I was forced to retire from dentistry. And again, I could have just sat on my heels and rid my horses around the mountains and, golfed occasionally and went fishing. And I could have just, we were okay financially. I didn't have to be concerned about that. But again, I had a gut feeling that there was just something I needed to do, something I was put here to do more. And that's where the book came from. I mean, you don't just sit down and write a book. That's it's a big undertaking to do that. So it was this gut feeling and paying attention to it that is responsible for the book that I wrote, The Anti-Fragile Man. That's where that came from, is listening to that gut feeling, listening to that intuition, if you will. And that's where this company, this Gene Tough method came from. That's where the Anti-Fragile Brotherhood came from. It's like, hey, if we have a coaching program and we get all these people functioning at their highest level, there's a huge opportunity here for these people to get together and give back even more than anybody could individually, right? There's strength in numbers. And so that intuition that we could do even more, that's where the Anti-Fragile Brotherhood came from. And so, once people go through that initiation, that initial phase of the actual coaching, then they can be invited into the Anti-Fragile Brotherhood, and then we can do even greater things beyond that. So all of this is to say that we need to pay attention to those messages we're getting. We all get them. It's a real thing. It's this enteric nervous system. It's this vagus nerve superhighway that's our gut's trying to tell us, where we're out of alignment. And we can either push that down and ignore it, and a lot of people can live an okay life doing that. But when you embrace that, and a lot of times it takes a third party to help you realize what your true gifts are, because the problem is when it's a gift to you, something that you're naturally good at, you have no clue. You think that everybody's good at that. And if I've learned one thing from coaching all these men over the years, is that we all have some special gift, and most of the time it's not recognized. I got to pull that out of people, because they're like, well, yeah, everybody can do that. And I'm like, no, not at least they can't do it at the level that you can. So when you feel that misalignment inside and you're capable of more, especially as we get to that last third of our life and we have more options as far as doing something because we want to do it versus doing something because we have to do it, that's where the magic happens. That's where we can absolutely say that last third of your life can be the best third of your life. So it's just something I think that it's really important that we understand that it is a real thing. It's not just some woo-woo thing, or maybe it's just me, or I can just ignore it because it's no big deal. Those things you need to pay attention to, because that's what you were put here to do. And when you do those things and embrace those things and understand this, you have no idea the impact that you can have literally on humanity. We tend to think that the things we do are just for us and our family. But when you start, I get messages nearly every day of people when they start, getting their body right and their mind right, which we do in the Gene Tough program. When they start getting that right, everything else starts aligning. And other people start asking, hey, what are you doing? I've noticed you just show up with a different energy. How do you have time to do this plus this and make it look so easy? All of those things matter. And when you get yourself right and your body and your mind right, then your family's watching, other people are observing you, and that's how we can make a difference. This one at a time thing. I'm only one person. I can only help so many people at a time. But when I help them and they go help 10 other people, that's how we create a movement. That's what the Anti-Fragile Brotherhood is about. And it's an amazing place to be if you can get invited into that group. It's a really great group of men that you can't buy your way into. You can't buy your way into that. It's by invite only. So that's what I'm talking about. Figure out your gifts. Figure out what your gut's trying to tell you, where things are out of alignment. What are your gifts? What are your God-given talents? And go embrace that and do what you were put here to do. Because life's short. It's we don't have all day, right? We've got to make hay while the sun's shining. And so I would just encourage you to put a little bandwidth, put a little time and effort into that. And that's what we do. we just expedite that whole process for you. You can do some of this stuff on your own, but I promise you, you're going to get hung up somewhere along the way. And that's why the community is so important. It's not just about me, it's about all of the men in this community that have been there, done that, from all kinds of different professions, with all kinds of different perspectives, all kinds of socioeconomic status. It doesn't matter. It's about living to their full potential. So I hope that makes sense. If you want to learn more about this, reach out, send me a message. You know how to get a hold of me. We'll schedule a conversation about what this looks like for you in particular. And like I say, it's so important that you embrace this, because you've only got one life to live. Let's make it the best that it can be. So I appreciate everybody listening today. Say, reach out if you're struggling with any of this, or you just say enough is enough. I have this gut feeling and I'm going to go for it. I'm not just going to play small anymore. Reach out. That's what we're here for. So take care, my friends, and appreciate all of you.